Hi, my name is Alan, and I'm going to be doing a couple of calculus problems. So we're going to start with this problem right here. And what they're asking us to find here is to find dy over dx, which basically means that we have to find the derivative of this function right here. So since we have two functions that are put together right here, what we can do is we can use the product rule. And in order to use the product rule, we can basically start by simplifying both of the functions that are in here. So, so could essentially be equal to. So y could essentially be equal to 2 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power times 3 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power also. And now it makes the function easier to identify. So the next step we can do here is use the product rule. So dy dx is going to be equal to the first function times the derivative of the second function plus the second function times the derivative of the first function. You have 2 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 times the derivative of 3 minus x squared raised to the 1/2. We could use the chain rule to find the derivative of that. So we'll bring down 1/2 as a coefficient. Then we keep what's inside the parentheses, and then we subtract the exponent by 1. So 1/2 minus 1 is also 1/2 minus 2 over 2, which is negative 1/2. And then we'll multiply whatever we get by the derivative of what's inside. And the derivative of 3 minus x squared is going to be negative 2x because the 3 becomes 0. You have times negative 2x. Now, this is the first step. Now you want to do the opposite of what we just did now. Now we're going to multiply the second function by the derivative of the first function. So we're going to have plus 3 minus x squared to the 1/2 times, we do the same for 2 minus x squared to the 1/2 here. So you want to bring 1/2 to the coefficient of the function. So you get 1/2 times, you keep whatever you have inside. So you keep 2 minus x squared, right? And then you subtract the exponent by 1. So you get negative 1/2. And then you multiply the derivative of whatever is inside, which is 2 minus x squared. And the derivative of that would be negative 2x because the 2 becomes 0. The derivative of 2 is 0. So it's times negative 2x. Alright, now we want to get to the step where we can simplify. We can get to the step where we can simplify what we have here. Okay? So first we're going to start by simplifying what's inside of the brackets. So we're going to keep 2 minus x squared to the 1/2. Now when we simplify right there a little bit lower. So we're going to keep 2 minus x squared to the 1/2, right? And then when we simplify whatever we have in the brackets, we get 1/2 times negative 2x. So the 2 cancel out, and you're left with negative x, right? Yeah, you're left with negative x. So these 2's cancel out, and then you're left with negative x. And then you want to bring down 3 minus x squared raised to the negative 1/2 power to turn this negative sign into a positive sign. So you have 3 minus x squared to the 1/2 power. Right? Looks a lot simpler. Now, we're going to move right here and we're going to do the same thing right here. We're just going to simplify whatever we have in the brackets. So it's going to be plus 3 minus x squared to the 1/2. Right? 3 minus x squared to the 1/2 times, same thing right here. These two cancel out because you multiply 1/2 by negative 2x. And then you want to bring this down in the denominator to get rid of the negative sign. Turn the negative sign into a positive sign. So that gives you negative x over 2 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power. Right? Now, we go from here. Now, we want to keep simplifying to make our result a lot smaller, right? So now we're gonna multiply whatever we have on the outside by what we have inside, right? So we get negative x times 2 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 over 3 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power plus negative x times 3 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 divided by 2 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power. Now, we can add these up, but the only way to add these up is to get common denominators. So we're going to come back up here, raise that, because I'm running out of space. So we want to add these two, but in order to do that, we need to have common denominators. So what we can do is we can multiply this side by the square root of 2 minus x squared, and then multiply the other side by the square root of 3 minus x squared. So what we end up getting is, x square root of 2 minus x squared times square root of 2 minus x squared over 3 minus x squared times the square root of 2 minus x squared. And then we do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply everything by the square root of 3 minus x squared. So we get plus x, negative x, the square root of 3 minus x squared times the square root of 3 minus x squared over the square root of 2 minus x squared times the square root of 3 minus x squared. Alright? So now, since these two are similar, the square root sign, the square root signs are going to cancel each other out, right? Same thing is going to happen right here, okay? So what you're left with is negative x times 2 minus x squared, right, over square root of 3 minus x squared square root of 2 minus x squared. The same thing happens there also. So what you're left with is negative x of 3 minus x squared over square root of 3 minus x squared times square root of 2 minus x squared. Right? erase this to make some more space. Alright. So what we can do here is distribute the x's and then add both sides since we have the same denominator. So when we distribute the negative x's on both as expressions, what we get is negative 2x plus. So the negative times negative is plus x cubed right here, and then you get minus 3x plus x cubed over square root of 3 minus x squared square root of 2 minus x squared, right? So that's going to be equal to, and we don't forget the dy dx. Dy dx. So that's going to be equal to, you add like terms, negative 3x, negative 2x, and then you add x cubed and x cubed. So you end up with 2x cubed minus 5x over square root of 3 minus x squared square root of 2 minus x squared. And that will be your final answer. So dy dx is equal to 2x cubed minus 5x over square root of 3 minus x squared square root of 2 minus x squared. All right.